What's going on, everybody? Got hopefully a quick tutorial for you today. This also is going to go in part with another tutorial, not directly, but it kind of sort of goes along with it. And this one we're going to be getting this jewel out of here. So I'm going to show you guys how to get this removed correctly and how to get it out of there so you can do other things with it. In a few days, I'll have another tutorial that shows you how to kind of clear these out so you can get the paint off of them and they'll be see-through and clear. That way you can put LEDs and stuff like that on the inside. So yeah, once I get that second video up, you can check the description of this video and you should see a link to that video if you're interested in also learning how that part works. Now for this tutorial, first and foremost, we're going to need a heat gun. I've got a heat gun that I believe it kind of goes between 750 and 1,000 degrees. And honestly, if you've got one that's even lower than that, like 500 degrees or something, that's probably going to be more than enough because we're not trying to super get this like crazy hot. I mean, this plastic, will melt. And there's been a few times where I have somewhat melted the plastic when I removed one of these. So you really don't need that much, but unfortunately most heat guns, it's usually in the 750 to 1,000 degree range. So you can work with that as well. I always keep mine set on the 750, the lowest setting. So the other thing we're going to need is you're going to need some stuff to be able to pry this up, because even though the heat does make it way easier to get this up, we still have to get in there and pry it out. And the issue is that a lot of people do not know that these jewels, there's actually two types of adhesive used in these. And so one is much harder to get off. It's a lot thicker of a more plastic substance than anything else. And it is so hard to get those off of there. And so just keep in mind that even when you do this the right way, if you've got a really stubborn jewel, I mean, it's very possible to damage this jewel, even when you do it the right way. It's just with the nature of it. And if you've got the one that's got the worst type of adhesive, I mean, even me, I damage these every once in a while. So you got to keep that in mind. Now, if you do end up damaging it, it's okay. And you're going to be able to also check the description here on this one. And I'll put a link in there where you can get a jewel just like this, but, already removed and everything. So, yeah, check that description, check that link. So if you do damage it, you don't have to stress yourself out or anything. The other thing we're going to talk about is the stuff to pry it up. Now, I've got these little jewelry screwdrivers, and these are really small flatheads. But a lot of times with some of these, especially the ones that are harder to get out, I actually have like a regular size, a larger one, because sometimes you have to get something a little bit bigger in there to actually get enough leverage to pull the thing off of there. And then the last thing I use is, I don't really know if this type of tool has a name or anything. I mean, I just found them at like a local hardware store one time. And it's just like got a really small point, and it just does really good for helping to pry this up. And to help kind of stabilize it, because you'll see that we were using both hands when we're getting that out of there. So the last thing you need is you need some sort of pliers, something like that, because we do got to get the metal off from underneath it. And then that should be pretty much all we need. So first things first, we got to flip it and we got to look at our metal here. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our pliers, and you can see on each side here, there's like these little parts that kind of go up. And all we really got to do is just give it a good tug on each one until we slowly start working it off of there. So you're just going to grab it and get a good hold on the case. Just pull it a little bit. We'll flip it over, grab the other side, do the same here. You see there's a little one kind of on the other side right here. We can pull on that one. I'm going to come back here. We're good to go. Now you can pull that out by hand, but just be careful because that metal's sharp, and that's why I'm using these gloves, just in case a little piece of that metal gets me. It'll usually stop it from cutting me or anything. So be careful with that. These are very sharp right here. So now that that's out, we can essentially take our jewel, and you can see this is the area we're going to heat. Okay. It's going to be kind of hard. Let me make sure. I can kind of get it on camera, but you'll have to understand I got to hold it up like this because I don't want that hot air going down on the table and heating this table up either, so I'm going to be heating it from this side. So all we're going to do is we're going to start with the top, right? We're going to heat it for just a few seconds. Your biggest thing that you can make a mistake on is if you just hold the heat gun in place. So don't just hold the heat gun right on top of it. And this is both for the top and bottom. We always want to use like a circle motion to kind of follow, around the edge and then go in the middle a little bit. But never hold it still, because you're going to melt this in like 3 or 4 seconds at 750 degrees. So when you're doing this, it's heating it slower and more evenly. All right, so the front side, we're only going to do just a few seconds. We're just kind of giving that like a little bit of a preheat, and then we'll come back again and hit it another time. Moving it too slow, like this slow, is also a problem. What you want to do is, you see I move it in pretty quick circles, and that's how you want to do it. All right, so now we're going to flip it, and now I'm really going to bear down on this side. This is the side you really want to heat well. The adhesive that's under the jewel is right there. So we're just going around in a circle, and then we go towards the center. See if I can get a little bit better view this way, maybe. So we're going like this, and then kind of work in the center and hit the center a little bit, and then kind of work the outside. Just going in nice clean circles. All right, so I'm going to turn my heat gun off, and then you're going to quickly move over. And usually what happens when you heat it, you'll see that this thing will move a little bit. So you want to quickly look and see if that's happened. And it has happened right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this right here, and you kind of push it all the way down and under slightly. And see, that one's, I heated it enough where it's already in there. I may not even need any other tools here, but I am going to kind of stabilize it here with my other tool and then move forward. So there we go. All right, so you saw how easy that kind of popped out. This is the other type of adhesive that I was talking about. I don't know if it'll show on the camera or not, but this is a much more foamy, fluffy adhesive backing here. And when you have this type, it's going to go just like this one just did, where it just wants to come right up. If you have the other adhesive type, that's going to be where your problems really occur and where you risk doing damage, because what's going to happen is it just does not want to pry up, even when it's heated quite a bit. You're going to really have to work back and forth. And the one thing I didn't really show, since mine was easier, is a lot of times what you have to do is you have to pry up a little bit with one, and kind of, while you're prying with this one, take one of your other prying tools or another one of these and scoot it in there a little bit more, and then pry with this one. And while you're prying with this one, scoot this one in a little bit more. And you just have to keep working. And your main thing is you want to keep your tool. You don't want to do this very much. Now, when we first started, you saw that I went in and down. You want to make sure that as soon as you start turning, you're not having it at a high angle. It's got to be as flat as possible, because where the damage usually happens is right here when you're turning it like this. If you leave it in the middle right here, it puts too much pressure on that, and that's how you get little damaged marks on it and stuff. Now, if you plan on clearing this out and you do have 1 or 2 little marks in the paint, that's usually not a problem, because you're going to be sanding this down to clear out the paint and everything. So any little basic marks that are just like a little bit of paint scuffed, you'll be able to get that out. So don't go replacing it just because you got 1 or 2 little chips out of the paint. What's really a problem is when you can see it's like a huge gouge in it and stuff like that. If that happens, then yeah, you're never going to be able to get that out, and it's always going to look pretty bad. So anyways, that's pretty much it for this tutorial. Like I said, I am going to have a second tutorial that I'll hopefully put up here in just a couple days after this one. And I'll put a link in this tutorial on how to get this cleared out, how to sand this down. I am going to be doing it where I'm not using any chemicals, which I've seen before, and it's not a good idea in my opinion. So yeah, check out that tutorial, and check out the description if you need a new jewel or if you want to see the next part. So anyways, until next time, guys.